For the first time since his father was diagnosed with cancer, Prince William has returned to royal duties and openly confronted the family's health concerns. "We are incredibly grateful for everyone's care and kindness," he shared. But perhaps no one could have anticipated the shock caused by this news. King Charles has been diagnosed with a serious illness, one that completely changes life, and according to multiple sources, is incurable. Within the thick stone walls of the palace, he has begun preparing for what no one dares to imagine: the end. Letters have begun to be written. Responsibilities are being quietly passed on. And in a private letter sent to Prince William, only a single line was written: "Now it's your turn." The king's public appearances have become fewer and farther between. His schedule is starting to change, and a heavy silence is gradually falling over the United Kingdom. Amid heartfelt farewells, a big question echoes: how will this reign come to an end? If you find this story interesting, please leave a comment with the number 1. If not, leave a comment with the number 0. Don't forget to like, share the video, and share your thoughts with us in the comments below. Make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on more exciting videos. Now, let's get started with the story. For King Charles, the countdown has begun, and his farewell, quiet and unceremonious, has started. It didn't come with a royal statement, not a televised speech, but a handwritten letter from him personally. His handwriting, his voice, his heart. Now it's your turn. Take it, and do better than I did. A brief sentence that changed everything. Inside the palace, the royal family is confronting an unavoidable reality. A close source revealed the king's illness is incurable and progressing. Although details remain confidential, those closest to him say he has begun saying his goodbyes. He is preparing everything, a palace aide disclosed. It's not just about paperwork or ceremonies, it's deeply personal. Handwritten letters, messages, final notes, private reflections. Not only did he send a letter to William, but another letter, marked private, was also delivered to Prince Harry through a secure diplomatic channel. What's inside that letter? Only the recipient knows. But a source said it was a gesture of peace, possibly the final one. Charles has begun declining appearances at many events. Assistants report his schedule is growing quieter by the day. Behind the scenes, the royal calendar is being rearranged. No official announcements have been made, because at this moment, the king is focused on only one thing: the people he is about to leave behind. And the silence surrounding his health condition could no longer be maintained, because shortly after those private letters were sent, King Charles was admitted to the hospital. This visit immediately sent shockwaves across the entire country. It was supposed to be a completely normal day, but then the alarm bells rang out. The king was rushed to the hospital, reportedly due to complications arising from the treatment he was undergoing. The palace described it as a temporary reaction, but not everyone believed it. "There's a lot they haven't told us," remarked a former BBC reporter. When schedules change this quickly, something serious is definitely going on. Within hours, all public appearances were cancelled without clear explanation. An important meeting with foreign leaders was postponed indefinitely. Even the official royal website quietly removed several scheduled events. think the girls with their nails done now. The media immediately jumped into action. Television anchors began speculating live on air. Was something wrong? Was the situation more serious than we thought? An insider at the BBC hinted that a bigger plan might be quietly unfolding. We're not just preparing for a routine medical update, they said, but something bigger, more profound. For many people in the UK, that moment brought a chilling sense of déjà vu. It recalled memories of how the palace handled the final days of Queen Elizabeth II. Silence, then heaviness, sadness. And now, with the king hospitalized, whispers began to grow louder. Is this the sign of the end? The first moment of the final chapter? The pressure mounting on the royal family to reveal the truth was increasing by the hour. But as the palace maintained its silence, others began to speak out, including a figure closely watched by the public with both concern and hope. A cold, hard statement came from Lady Colin Campbell. If there's one voice in the world of royal commentary that has ever stirred public opinion, it's hers. And this time, she made a bolder claim than ever before. There's little hope left for a cure, she said bluntly in a recent podcast. The palace isn't lying, but they're not telling the whole truth either. Her words instantly sparked waves of debate across royal circles. Lady Colin, who has deep connections within the aristocracy, made a statement that stunned the public. King Charles is struggling with a level of stress that doctors have begun to consider dangerous. According to her, the combination of pressure from the public, declining health, and heavy political responsibilities is pushing the king to the brink. The king is still trying to hold on, she said, but we all need to prepare for what's coming. In just moments, clips of her statements flooded social media. Some criticized her for spreading unnecessary fear, but many others said she was simply voicing what they had long sensed. As a result, the public began watching every sign more closely: how Charles looked gaunt in his recent appearances, how he fumbled with papers, or paused longer than usual during speeches. He's exhausted, admitted a longtime palace staffer. He won't stop, keeps trying to work, but you can clearly see in his eyes, he's weakening. Usually, whispers like these would be dismissed. But when Lady Colin speaks out, everything changes. Because if what she says is true, the king isn't just battling illness, he's racing against time. The crown on his head, the clock is ticking. Charles waited over 7 decades to wear the crown. His entire life has been preparation, observation, and waiting. Yet now, just months after his coronation, he faces a disease that no title can protect him from. He's doing everything he can, a close source shared. But he knows clearly, time is no longer on his side. King Charles is striving to fulfill as many constitutional duties as possible. Private meetings with Parliament, discussions about the future of the Commonwealth, and even preliminary talks on internal reforms. But things are getting increasingly difficult. A highly anticipated state visit to Italy, meant to be a powerful milestone in his reign, has now been postponed indefinitely. Doctors have advised him to avoid long-distance travel, yet Charles is reluctant to cancel. For him, every choice now is a trade-off between duty and health, between legacy and survival. He doesn't want to be remembered just for his illness, an insider revealed. But he keenly feels that time is running out. Inside the palace, whispers are growing louder. Could this be one of the shortest reigns in modern royal history? King Charles has yet to announce abdication, but with each passing day, the pressure intensifies. And the one facing the toughest position is Prince William, the son, the heir, standing in the enormous shadow of his father. William never wished for things to unfold this way. He remains heartbroken over his father's health, but is quietly preparing to step into the role destiny has assigned him. It's bitter and sweet, a close family friend shared. No one is ready, but William knows the time has come. William has always been proud of his father, but he never imagined this moment would come so quickly. Behind the scenes, he is being brought into private meetings, where every sensitive detail is shared. Every protocol, every strategic decision, national emergency plans, all are being communicated to William. And while he tries to stay strong, his wife, Catherine, the Duchess, is facing her own health challenges. The pressure is mounting, heavy, and relentless. This moment is truly harsh. "He is giving it his all," said an aide inside the palace. But you can clearly feel the weight pressing down on his shoulders. It's the pain of loss and the sacred duty, all at once. William's public presence is no longer what it used to be. The way he speaks, the way he stands, now more like a true head of state. He often appears alone, and every word, every action is scrutinized closely, as if people are trying to read the future through him. "He is no longer just the heir," a commentator bluntly stated. "He's acting like a true king." But while William is gradually stepping into the spotlight, the rest of the royal family continues to wrestle with silent pain, because illness is not a battle fought by one alone. It's a harsh test for all those loved ones nearby. And then, amid the chaos, an unexpected move happened. A letter was sent to Prince Harry. A family divided by misunderstandings and distance now faces the tragedy of loss. In a moment of silence behind the heavy doors of the palace, King Charles made a decision that stunned even his closest confidants. He requested a letter be sent to Prince Harry. "Before it's too late," he is said to have said, "let there be peace." Those 5 simple words carry more weight than any political statement. They are the whispered plea of a father who does not want to leave this world with a heavy heart. According to sources, the letter was handwritten, unedited and without input from media advisors. It was simple, raw, and deeply emotional. He wanted Harry to know that he has always been his son, a palace insider revealed. Not a prince, not a political issue, just simply his son. This decision surprised many within the royal circle. Throughout the rift between William and Harry, Charles had largely kept his distance. But now, facing an irreversible reality, he no longer wants to remain silent. He knows clearly, if not him, then who can mend the rift? The insider added. If not now, then when? As for Harry, will he respond? Will he return? The answer remains unknown. But the seed has been planted, and sometimes, in the final moments, the impossible becomes possible. Behind closed doors, quiet conversations are taking place. No cameras, no titles, no ceremonies, just people within a family. And it's precisely these small gestures that could become a turning point for the entire monarchy, not through political decisions, but through deeply human moments. Because sometimes it's loss, or the threat of loss, that can bring a fractured family back together. As the royal family endures its most profound emotional trial, the world watches every step, every sign, and not everyone believes they're hearing the full truth. The public's reaction paints a complex and colorful picture. Alongside genuine sympathy lies a simmering doubt. As news of King Charles's health began to spread, a wave of emotion swept across England. Some people were moved to tears. "He has endured so much," said a woman in Cardiff during a BBC Street interview. "At last, we have a king, and now we might lose him." On social media, thousands of messages of support, shared memories, and tributes poured in. People honored his environmental legacy, shared childhood photos of the Prince of Wales, and posted widely circulated images from his youth, accompanied by hashtags like #KingCharlesFarewell and #HoldOnYourMajesty. However, there were other voices too. The prolonged silence from the palace fueled widespread skepticism. A royal blogger wrote, "Why are we hearing news from insiders rather than directly from the royal family?" Discussions erupted across forums. Some believed the reality was more serious than what was being publicly disclosed. Others thought the king was no longer handling daily affairs, and the palace was deliberately extending the silence. Even media outlets that had traditionally respected the royals' privacy began to question. A headline caught attention. "What does the palace know that we don't?" "The silence has become uncomfortable," shared a political analyst. "The British public doesn't like being kept in the dark." Yet, the affection for the king remains deeply strong. "No one wants this to be the end," wrote one person. "Not now. Not like this." But as time passes and Charles's absence grows more apparent, public attention begins to shift. They no longer just watch the king gradually stepping back, but also look toward those stepping forward, ready to carry on his legacy. And that leads to a new question. Where is Camilla? Her calm demeanor and frequent public appearances have sparked much curiosity among the public. While King Charles fights his illness behind the palace's closed doors, Queen Camilla continues to be seen smiling at charity events, attending dinners, and even appearing alone at important formal ceremonies. Many wonder why she is out there by herself while her husband struggles with his health. Some see it as a sign of strength, an image of resilience, a queen holding the fortress steady as her husband recovers. She keeps going because she still has responsibilities to fulfill, a close friend of Camilla revealed. But many people wonder, why isn't she by his side? A royal watcher on social media expressed, "If the king is so ill that he has to cancel everything, then what is the queen doing out there?" This isn't the first time they've appeared separately in public. From her time as Duchess to Charles's accession, they have maintained independent roles. However, this time, that distance is making the public increasingly concerned. She's not cold-hearted, just very practical, a former palace staff member shared. She understands that the public image must be maintained, but everyone knows that behind that smile, Camilla is deeply worried. She doesn't want to show that to everyone. And according to a close source, Camilla is not just standing aside for show, she is quietly preparing. She is involved in organizing the transfer of power behind the scenes, supporting William as he takes on more and more responsibilities. She keeps the palace machinery running smoothly, protecting the king from unnecessary stress. Some believe that Camilla is the backbone, the pillar holding the royal family together amid the storm of media scrutiny. But alongside the praise, there are still doubts. Is her calmness a sign that the situation is far more tense than we've been told? The public began asking deeper questions, not only about Camilla, but also about how much pressure the entire palace is facing. While people continue to watch Camilla closely, another issue, thought to have settled, suddenly reignites: controversy surrounding religion. It all started with a short video. King Charles appeared live sending Ramadan greetings to the global Muslim community. Naturally, this was a gesture of religious harmony, reflecting diversity and a modern vision. But on social media forums, a fierce backlash campaign quickly spread. One side united in opposition, accusing him of favoring other religions, rather than fulfilling his long-held role as defender of the faith of the Church of England. "He has forgotten who he represents," a sharp political commentator declared. However, the response argued that precisely because he embraces an interfaith vision and is vigilant against prejudice, Charles remains committed to maintaining this broader, inclusive image. Royal historians analyze this as part of a strategy to modernize the monarchy, bringing the British royal family closer to a globalized world, rich in religious and cultural diversity. However, not everyone has welcomed this change positively. As King Charles's vision of a modern multicultural monarchy begins to take clearer shape, a segment of the public, and even some within the inner circle, have voiced strong opposition. For them, this is not simply a gesture of communication or an interfaith message. They see it as a sign of decline, an action turning away from tradition. However, this controversy erupted at the worst possible moment. As the king's health is declining, another storm, this time a spiritual one, is brewing. The crown is becoming fragile, a political analyst remarked. The division among the people is growing increasingly apparent, and that is something any monarchy fears. Because when faith wavers, the throne wobbles too. But this is no longer just about a speech or a congratulatory video. It's about legacy. Charles's legacy. A king who always wanted to bring fresh winds to the monarchy, aiming to usher the institution into the 21st century. However, if his reign ends too soon, will that vision have enough time to take root? Or will it fade into oblivion, like an unfinished idea? If you found this story fascinating and want to learn more, don't forget to like, share the video, and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any of our exciting videos. Now, let's continue the story together. And now, that possibility, the prospect of a short reign, can no longer be ignored. The latest health reports from insider sources reveal that the king's condition has taken a darker turn. According to close doctors, his illness is progressing faster than expected. Early symptoms, such as swollen fingers, prolonged fatigue, and occasional lapses in concentration, were once considered insignificant. But now, there's nothing subtle about it. Every sign is clear, and they are worrying. He's always tired, a palace staff member shared. He keeps pushing forward, still working every day, but you can see he's in pain. Charles refuses to stop. Meetings with the cabinet and parliament continue behind closed doors. Documents are still signed, papers are still reviewed. But his public appearances tell a different story, each one growing less certain, more fragile. He doesn't want to fade away quietly, a royal insider said. He wants people to remember this final effort, his dedication until the very end. And so, every time the king appears, whether it's a greeting, a handshake, or a glance, it becomes a moment that makes the public ask, could this be the last time? Is he quietly saying goodbye? Some believe he is counting every remaining chance, just to complete a few symbolic moments, a speech before the Commonwealth, a summer garden party, or a gesture of spiritual transition. He won't go quietly, a former royal aide asserts. Charles is a fighter, but no matter how strong the body, there are limits. And now, even royal observers are shifting their tone. Words like "a matter of national concern" have started to surface on national television. The BBC is reportedly preparing obituary content in advance, a move usually reserved for when the gravest situation is imminent. Meanwhile, palace aides are said to be holding emergency meetings, preparing for every possible scenario. And the United Kingdom, with all its history and tradition, is preparing for something that many are still not truly ready to face. For just over a year ago, they had to say goodbye to Queen Elizabeth, the longest reigning and beloved monarch in British history. Now, the nation stands on the brink of preparing for another farewell, one that could be even more painful and profound. A nation still in mourning, a crown still hanging heavy over many hearts. The United Kingdom cannot forget the aching sorrow when Queen Elizabeth took her final breath, silence falling like a heavy rain, tears quietly streaming down the faces of its people, and black ribbons tied around city gates as a last farewell. It was not merely the end of an era. It was the closing of a brilliant chapter in history, a reign that many were still unwilling to let go. And now, just over a year later, the entire country is once again bracing itself to face that pain. "We never truly ended the pain of losing her," a Londoner confessed live on the radio. "And now, we have to prepare to start all over again." For many, the thought of losing another monarch so soon, so suddenly, feels like a burden too heavy to bear. The nation's overall mood has shifted. Even the usually bright and upbeat morning shows have grown somber and slow. A royal historian remarked, "Charles waited his entire life to become king, but it seems fate only gave him a chapter, not the whole book." People are struggling to adjust their emotions. The ink on the new banknotes is still wet. The mailboxes in the palace still bear Elizabeth's mark. And now they must face change that is too fast, too sudden. In small towns, prayer gatherings and candlelight vigils began to emerge. People spontaneously placed flowers outside royal residences without any prompting. Some couldn't even explain why they did it, only feeling that something monumental, another era, was coming to an end. A woman whispered near Windsor, "We sense the fragility not just of the monarchy, but of the entire nation." As the public prepared to face the inevitable, a quiet fear rose. Would Charles be remembered for what he tried to achieve, or just as a man defeated by illness before he could realize his grand ambitions? King Charles did not want to become a replica of his late mother. Rather, he aspired to be a new kind of monarch, one who cared more about practical actions than mere appearances. He was someone who showed deep concern for environmental issues, social diversity, and modern values. "I want the crown to serve the times, not be trapped by them," he once said. As the Prince of Wales, Charles spent decades championing causes that have become more important than ever today: climate change, organic farming, sustainable architecture, and racial inclusion. Back then, many laughed at his ideas, but now, no one does anymore. But when he ascended the throne, his plans for reform and modernization had yet to take off. Projects aimed at changing outdated royal customs and efforts to simplify the role of the monarchy mostly remained unfinished drafts. He wanted to prove that the monarchy could evolve, that it could adapt to the new era. Yet illness took away the runway he needed to take flight. Inside the palace, silent disputes are also unfolding. There are disagreements over vision, delays, and even rumors that not all senior members of the royal family support his modern approach. Now, as his health deteriorates, many are asking, what will remain after he is gone? Will he be remembered for the changes he once initiated, or merely as a man who never had the chance to complete his mission? A journalist bluntly stated, "The tragedy is not just losing a king, but losing a king who never truly became the person he longed to be." And while the United Kingdom watches every step and challenge he faces, the rest of the world is not looking away. This is not merely a crisis for England, but a global transformation. Some countries, especially members of the Commonwealth, have already begun preparing for possible changes as the image of the king, the unifying symbol of the bloc, becomes more faded than ever before. But now, as King Charles's health deteriorates, the bonds that hold the Commonwealth together are beginning to show signs of fraying. From former colonies like Australia and Canada to Caribbean nations, quiet yet meaningful discussions have begun. These countries are asking a major question. Should they continue maintaining their ties to the British monarchy, or is it time for a comprehensive shift to completely sever the royal connection? A political analyst in Ottawa commented that King Charles's reign was once expected to strengthen the cohesion within the Commonwealth, an organization of former British colonies sharing common traditions and values. However, contrary to those expectations, the weakening health and influence of the king may become a turning point leading to the disintegration of the Commonwealth, leaving the organization facing an uncertain future. In Barbados, which officially abolished the British monarchy and became a republic in 2021, leaders have made sharp remarks reflecting a profound shift in relations with the United Kingdom. They have not hesitated to criticize what they see as an outdated institution no longer suited to the modern era. Other countries in the region are also beginning to openly question the purpose of maintaining a monarch they rarely have the chance to meet and who may not remain for long. The affection for Queen Elizabeth remains, respect, love, and deep mourning. But with Charles, everything is different. A Jamaican minister frankly shared, "We're curious about Prince William, but with Charles there's no connection at all." His illness, tragic as it is, only fuels further conversations about the future of the monarchy in countries where anti-monarchy sentiments have been growing stronger. Analysts note that the longer Charles remains on the throne without showing renewed vitality, the harder it will be to convince these nations to continue their ties to the monarchy. Even within the United Kingdom itself, similar questions are being raised. Does the monarchy still hold its global stature and command respect in the hearts of the people? What does it still represent to the British people today? And who will be the one to restore trust and reverence? All eyes are now on Prince William, the eldest son seen as a symbol of renewal and the hope for a new era. But can William bear this heavy responsibility while he is going through profound personal struggles? Prince William always knew this day would come, a close aide at Kensington Palace revealed. But he never expected it to arrive under these circumstances, not while his father is ill, not while his wife is recovering from health challenges, and certainly not while he is raising young children under the pressure of an uncertain future. This is not a timeline anyone in the royal family wanted or planned for. Nevertheless, William is now forced to step into the spotlight because he has no other choice. He receives daily briefings on important royal matters and is gradually taking on the duties, meetings, and events that his father has postponed. Behind the scenes, William is quietly preparing for the inevitable, the mission to lead and protect the monarchy during this challenging time. He is grieving, but he is also learning very quickly, a close family friend shared. The public is watching his every move closely, every speech, every appearance, every interaction, and they no longer see an ordinary prince, but a man carrying a heavy responsibility. They don't just see a prince preparing to ascend the throne, they are witnessing a future king growing stronger every day under relentless pressure from the times. Prince William is not simply the heir to the crown, he is being tested in real time, with all eyes on him during the most challenging moments. A royal expert once said, "William is being tested like never before." But the journey hasn't been easy. He's striving to balance the lofty duties of royalty with deep personal pain, loss, anxiety, and the heavy burden of an uncertain future weighing on his shoulders. In recent appearances, William has been seen with a more serious gaze, a somber expression, yet stronger and more determined than ever. A close source revealed, he doesn't want to become king under his father's illness, but he knows he has to be ready at any moment. The pressure is mounting, and in the minds of the British people, one question remains: how will this storm end? As the days go by and the silence grows heavier, the country waits, the family hopes, and the crown sits, quietly, yet uncertain about who will carry this sacred responsibility forward. Will King Charles abdicate before his health completely fails? In the palace corridors, that conversation has already begun. Senior advisors have secretly outlined contingency plans, carefully reviewing the necessary legal frameworks. A smooth transition plan is being drafted to ensure stability and order for the monarchy. One insider whispered, he may not officially abdicate, but the handover process could start without any formal announcement. However, others believe King Charles will hold on to the throne until the very end, because for him, stepping down would be nothing less than a defeat, a surrender to a fate he has waited his whole life to fulfill. Meanwhile, Prince William is ready to step into his new role, the heir with the heaviest responsibilities. Camilla, the queen consort, continues her duties with calmness and dedication. Prince Harry, William's younger brother, is said to be waiting for a final call that could be decisive in healing or easing the long-standing royal wounds. A close aide revealed, the king wants peace before it's over. Whether he achieves that remains a big question. This reign, though brief and tumultuous, will be remembered not just because of an illness or a health condition. People will remember how it ended, the unsaid words, apologies coming too late, and the complex relationships still unresolved. As England prepares to turn a new page in its history, there is a painful and undeniable truth. The crown now feels heavier than ever. And soon, someone will place it upon their head. Someone who will continue walking the path of history, yet face unprecedented challenges. The farewell has begun. The world holds its breath, watching every moment unfold. The crown remains on His Majesty's head, but it seems to be slipping away. With each passing day, King Charles's silence echoes louder than words. This farewell not only marks the end of a reign, but could also redefine the monarchy forever. an ancient symbol standing at a crossroads of history, caught between past and future, tradition and modernity. If you found this video insightful about the changes in the British royal family and the future of the monarchy, don't forget to like and support us. Please share this video with your friends and family so we can follow this historic story unfolding together. And if you want to receive more in-depth analyses and the latest updates on important global events, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell right now. Thanks for joining us. See you in the next videos.